Moving on, next we have another keynote address by Nick Tzitzon, Chief Strategic Officer, ServiceNow. Let's welcome Mr. Tzitzon now. Over to you.
Well, thank you very much. And I'd like to wish a very wonderful good morning to everyone here. I would like to say how much of an honor it is for me to be speaking in the same session with Dr. Singh and Dr. Sharma. I understand the significant responsibilities that both of these leaders have, and it is just an honor for me to share the time with them here this morning. I'm delighted on behalf of the women and men of ServiceNow, especially our team of many thousands here in India, to be at the National Workflow Summit. We are delighted to be partnered with the Economic Times to help bring this program. I think it would not be an overstatement to tell you that India, for us, is something of a second home, that we believe very much not only in the strength of India today and the resilience of India, but of India's bright future. I was just looking earlier at the projections for the size of countries around the world over the next 25 years, and India will be the largest country in the world by population. So we are very much talking with all of you here today in public service about the future of the biggest country in the world. And that is something that we at ServiceNow take very, very seriously. And it's why we're so deeply invested, not only in India today, but why we believe so strongly in investing for the future. So perhaps I just share a few thoughts with you today to help frame this conversation that we're having in the National Workflow Summit. You know, I think sometimes we make the mistake in presentations like this of not giving a little bit of the personal story. And I think part of the reason that I feel so passionately about being here with you is that I myself enjoyed a career in public service here in the United States, where I'm from. Earlier in my career, I had the chance to serve at the local level, and then I served at the state level, and then I served at the federal level of the United States government. And I can tell you, and I'm confident you feel this, the rich experience you get in public service, confronting some of the largest challenges and opportunities facing a country and helping to improve the quality of life of the people. I don't find anything more satisfying than that. And I continue to draw not only so much inspiration from that, but so many lessons from my time in public service. It's interesting, I was talking to a customer of ServiceNow in the business community a few weeks ago, and they were asking me about how to go about getting the best ideas for how to change the way the business runs. And I thought back to my time in public service and about how we would routinely encourage the employees of our agencies to propose new ways of doing business and to compete those ideas against some private businesses to see whose ideas were better. And that was an idea in the public sector way before the idea of competitive sourcing really caught on in the private sector. So I have always believed, and still to this day experience in my interactions, that some of the most innovative practices come in public service, because there are no organizations in the world that face the pressure of public sector agencies. And just in the past weeks, I can tell you, watching from afar and working with so many of my colleagues, both my colleagues who are based in India, but also colleagues of mine based in the United States who have families in India, watching the immense dedication of the entire public sector in India in confronting this awful pandemic. It was something to behold. I know how challenging it was. And I just have to send my heartfelt appreciation and respect for all of you, because I know that there is no one agency that addresses a crisis. It is a collection, a value chain of agencies. So I wanted to share that with you because I thought it might give you an idea of why I felt it was so important to be here on behalf of ServiceNow at this Workflow Summit. Maybe just to give you a little bit of background about why ServiceNow believes in workflow. We have a founder, all companies do, and our founder is a gentleman by the name of Fred Luddy. And Fred, when he was coming up as a software engineer, just to put it to you directly, he thought programming applications on some of the platforms that existed was awful. He didn't like it at all. He thought it wasn't easy. It wasn't intuitive. It didn't allow him as an engineer to build applications that would help address business challenges. And I just read you this quote that he gives. I actually don't need to read it. I actually know it by heart. There is no better experience than giving someone a piece of technology that lets them do something they never thought they could do. And that spirit, the idea of putting technology in as many people's hands, is the founding principle of ServiceNow, and it's what motivates us today to help bring the idea of digital workflows to all the different businesses in both the private and in the public sector. So ServiceNow really, in terms of how we look at the opportunity with all of you, is we believe in our unique opportunity to help you use digital workflows to fundamentally change the way that government agencies operate, to improve the governance, to improve the security. We believe that workflows are at the core of that. And part of the reason that we are so certain of it is because we see so much alignment with what Prime Minister Modi has said about the two cornerstones of pro-people government: transparency and accountability. So we fully believe in the alignment between what the Prime Minister has said, what his administration has stood for and advocated, and how ServiceNow can work in partnership with the Indian government and all of the agencies within it and all the ministers to help advance this bold agenda for digital transformation. When you think of topics like security and compliance and regulations, all these things that are so important as you seek not only to serve the people of India, but to protect their privacy, to ensure the security of the country, to ensure that you're managing risks. I know, for example, that we are entering a storm season that promises to be very aggressive. And I know the Prime Minister is calling for alignment across the different entities to make sure that everybody is working together. Workflows are the digital manifestation of working together across systems. ServiceNow, in terms of how we look at what technology should do in the context of workflows, let me just talk you through a little bit of it because I think it's important. We believe that agencies, that ministries, that businesses are all going to run multiple systems. There have been historic investments made in many different systems, and we don't believe in telling you or anybody else to rip those systems out. Here's what we believe in. We believe in giving you a system, a platform that helps you take the data you need out of any systems that you run and connect those dots. We believe that an orchestration platform, something that allows you as a leader in government to say, here's how I want to serve a better citizen experience. I need to pull data from all these different systems. I need to create an experience that gives the citizen exactly what they need and when they need it. And I need to be able to do this quickly because I don't have the luxury of months and years to solve a problem that's affecting citizens today. That is how ServiceNow looks at digital workflows. We believe in helping you connect the dots across organizations. We believe in helping you orchestrate a consistent, very friendly experience. And we believe in helping you deploy it very quickly so that you can both address the citizen requirements and also make people happy. I always took inspiration from the culture of India. We were there before the pandemic in February of 2020. It feels like years ago because of what we've all been through. And we had done something of a world tour. We had visited many countries and visited our teams. There's no place like India. There is no place with more energy and optimism and belief. And we believe that workflows, helping the citizens, connecting the citizens to the public servants, that creates a happy environment. And it gives people the kind of citizen-centric government that the Prime Minister has so often talked about. I know how much change that you're confronting. I often think about the human aspect of this. For the first time ever, there are 5 generations in the workforce, 5. And each of these generations wants to work differently, has different ideas about how they should connect process to people. They have different device preferences. They have different expectations about how fast things should move. We did a look through some of the research, and there was one piece of research that was interesting. 70% of the organizations in this survey said that leading multi-generational organizations was a major challenge, but only 10% said that they are actually ready to address it. They don't know how to deal with it. So again, a workflow strategy, helping you to connect these different systems, helping you to simplify these different processes, helping you to give people a mobile device experience, that directly goes at some of that organizational change. We know that as these generations mix, they want to look at how government has historically done business. What processes can we modernize? What can we change? How can we make things move faster? And we know how much data is important in that process. Listen to this. By the end of this year, by the end of 2021, 31 new devices, 31 billion new devices will be connected in the Internet of Things. Sometimes I'm just lost in the numbers. I mean, who even knows how to quantify how complicated 31 billion new devices is? But I think about the application in the context of government and connecting these devices and what these devices can tell us as public leaders about the experience of the citizen. How can we help you workflow that challenge? These are the things that make us excited about workflow. So maybe just before I give you the preview of the panel discussions you're going to get, I'll leave you with just a few questions. Because personally, I've always felt like I focus too much time on listening to people who tell me they have all the answers and not enough time on asking the right kinds of questions. So when it comes to people, I wonder, how is the citizen experience connected to the government employee experience? In other words, if the government employee is happy and motivated, then does that not translate to the citizen experience? So how do you look at those two things in one strategy? It's a good question. How are employees in the government empowered to be disruptive? How do we give government employees permission to raise their hand and say, I think there's a better way that helps us to do business. I think there's a better way to change the process. How can you empower people to be innovative? It's an important question. On the process side, how do you ask for input? How do you capture that input? And how do you take the best practices that you have in one part of the government and scale it to other parts of the government? What can you share? What is unique and must stay in certain parts? Having an integrated strategy to help you with workflow and best practice is critical. It's an important question. And then on the technology side, I would just encourage you to ask this question. What technologies are you paying for as a government where you're not getting the kinds of value that you need? There is a misconception in this whole conversation about digital transformation that it requires all sorts of new investment, surely some, but there is an opportunity to repurpose some cost from old legacy systems that aren't delivering value and apply it to new innovative systems. So asking the question, where can we find that, is critical. So just a few suggestions for you to think about and take back. I'm confident if we had a chance to interact, maybe next year we'll come together and we'll do it in person. I'm confident we could share some other questions together, because I think that really is the great way to stimulate discussion and share our ideas together. So you have some great panel discussions coming up, and I think that they're going to cover some great topics. You're doing one on citizen-centric service, and I think this notion of how do you speed things up, how do you get velocity in it, how do you get the transparency and the great implementations, and then how do you work together across departments, within the departments. I think these are important themes, and I think you're going to hear a lot about this. Another topic that's going to be important is around achieving 100% government and public sector cybersecurity, compliance, transparency, and how do you predict risk so that risk doesn't materialize and ruin all the good work that takes place. And I think some of these themes that are going to come up around integrating how the IT and security operations work together. I think talking about governance and protecting against vulnerabilities, I think these topics, they're not only important for you, they're important for everybody running a business in the public and in the private sector. So I think that's going to be a great topic to dive into. I think this notion of creating a digital platform for government, I think that's going to be an important topic. And then I think strengthening the government IT backbone through modern and future-proof platforms, I think that's going to be an important topic. So those are just a few of the themes you're going to hear about in these discussions. And I'll tell you, I think, there's no perfect answer, what I've come to appreciate, both in my time in the public sector and in the public sector. But all we can commit to doing as leaders is to do exactly what we're doing here, which is to come together, to hear about what others are doing, to learn about some of those best practices, to challenge each other with new ways of thinking. And I think that is another reason why ServiceNow has been so delighted by the opportunity to be part of this very special event. So I realize that in the times of the pandemic that these virtual keynotes, they challenge us a bit. We can't feel each other's energy like we might otherwise, but I would simply close by thanking you for your leadership, thanking you for your service, thanking you for dedicating the time to this. And I firmly believe that we will be together for next year's summit, and that we will have the opportunity in person to salute all of you and to congratulate you on leading India and India's people through this extraordinarily challenging time, and refocus the conversation on the incredibly bright future ahead as we prepare the world's largest country to be the world's most innovative country. So thank you on behalf of ServiceNow. It's really been my honor, and I look forward to seeing you soon.
Thank you, Mr. Tzitzon, for that quick yet informative talk. Indeed, a topical discussion.